Imagine finding out that something you do every single morning in your own kitchen, something you do specifically because you are trying to be healthy, is quietly and systematically creating the conditions for permanent kidney damage without you knowing. Does that sound extreme? Unfortunately, it is not. Every single year, more than 37 million adults in the United States are living with chronic kidney disease, and the majority of them have no idea. They feel fine. They are eating what they believe is a balanced diet. Many of them are doing the very things their doctors told them were good for them, and yet their kidneys are quietly failing, one morning at a time. But here is the part that surprises almost everyone. The foods most likely to be causing this damage are not candy. They are not fast food. They are not fried chicken or potato chips. They are foods that carry health labels. Foods with words like natural, high protein, fortified, and heart healthy printed right on the box, and at least 3 of the foods I am about to describe are likely sitting in your kitchen right now, tonight, waiting for tomorrow morning. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which breakfast foods are damaging kidneys in adults over 60, why the danger is so much worse after 60 than it was at 40, and what you can replace these foods with starting tomorrow morning to begin protecting your kidneys today. What you are about to hear is not exaggeration. It is not fear-mongering. It is nephrology, the medical science of kidney health, explained in plain language. If you are over 60, this message could literally save your life. My name is Dr. Margaret Hale. I have spent over 30 years specializing in nephrology, the study and treatment of kidney disease, in adults over the age of 55. Nephrology is the branch of medicine focused on how the kidneys function, and more importantly, how they fail. I have sat across from too many patients who looked at me after receiving a serious diagnosis and asked one question: why did nobody warn me sooner? I am done staying quiet. Every week on this channel, I share evidence-based health information explained clearly and honestly for adults over 60. If you have not already subscribed, please do it now, because what we are about to cover is exactly why this channel exists. Here is something most people do not realize. After the age of 60, your kidneys have already lost between 30 and 50% of their original filtering capacity, not because of disease, not because of any single bad decision, simply because of age. This is a normal part of getting older, but here is where it becomes dangerous. Most people over 60 do not know this is happening. They feel no pain. They experience no obvious symptoms. The kidneys are extraordinary organs. They can continue functioning and compensating even as their capacity quietly declines. But this also means that when something you eat or drink begins to add extra strain on top of that already reduced function, the kidneys cannot tell you. They have no pain receptors. They suffer in silence. And here is what terrifies me most as a doctor. The damage does not announce itself. It builds slowly, for months, for years. And by the time a person develops noticeable symptoms, fatigue that will not lift, swelling in the ankles, changes in urination, difficulty concentrating, in the overwhelming majority of cases, the damage is already advanced. The National Kidney Foundation reports that 9 out of 10 people with chronic kidney disease do not know they have it until they are already in stage 3 or 4. Stage 5 is kidney failure. Here is the open loop I want you to hold in your mind for the next 20 minutes. The number 1 food on this list, the one that causes the most consistent, most medically documented kidney damage in adults over 60, is something that is specifically marketed as a kidney-friendly, heart-healthy protein source. I will reveal exactly what it is before we finish, and I promise that revelation will change how you look at your breakfast forever. Now let us begin with food number 5. The healthy habit that quietly floods your kidneys with stones. Many people over 60 have added green smoothies to their morning routine specifically to improve their health. They have read about antioxidants. They have seen the studies on leafy greens. And spinach is perhaps the most popular green smoothie ingredient in the world. So what is the problem? Here is what is happening inside your body. Spinach is one of the highest oxalate foods on Earth. Oxalates are naturally occurring chemical compounds found in many plants. In younger adults with fully functioning kidneys, oxalates are filtered out, processed, and excreted through the urine with relative efficiency. But after 60, with kidneys already operating at reduced capacity, that filtration process becomes slower and less complete. When oxalates are not fully cleared, they bind with calcium in the bloodstream and form calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals accumulate in the kidney tissue itself. Over time, they form kidney stones, hard deposits that block urine flow, tear delicate kidney tissue as they pass, and trigger cycles of inflammation that progressively scar and damage the nephrons. Nephrons are the microscopic filtering units inside the kidney. Each kidney contains roughly 1 million of them. Once a nephron is scarred and destroyed, it does not regenerate. Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, 40,000 plus adults, 10-year follow-up. Adults over 60 consuming high oxalate foods regularly had a 67% higher rate of kidney stone formation and measurably faster kidney function decline. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology followed over 40,000 adults across a 10-year period. The results were clear. Adults over 60 who regularly consumed high oxalate foods, especially in blended or juiced form, which dramatically concentrates oxalate content, had a 67% higher rate of kidney stone formation and measurably faster decline in kidney function compared to adults who avoided or limited these foods. Think of oxalate crystals in the kidney like gravel slowly filling the inside of a delicate silk filter. The filter keeps catching the gravel. It keeps working, but over time the holes tear. The filter thickens with scar tissue, and eventually the filtration slows to a level your body cannot compensate for. Think of oxalate crystals in the kidney like gravel slowly filling the inside of a delicate silk filter. The filter keeps catching the gravel. It keeps working, but over time the holes tear. The filter thickens with scar tissue, and eventually the filtration slows to a level that your body cannot compensate for. I once treated a 64-year-old woman who had been making a double spinach smoothie every single morning for 4 years. She had read an article that told her spinach was a superfood. She came to me complaining of vague fatigue and swelling in her ankles. Her creatinine level, a blood marker of kidney function, had risen significantly over 18 months. Imaging revealed multiple calcium oxalate deposits in both kidneys. She had no idea. Not a single morning of pain had warned her. Be honest with yourself for a moment. How many spinach smoothies did you have this week? Type that number in the comments right now, because that number tells you exactly how much concentrated oxalate load you have been putting on kidneys that are already working harder than you know. Be honest with yourself for a moment. How many spinach smoothies did you have this week? Type that number in the comments right now, because that number tells you exactly how much concentrated oxalate load you have been putting on kidneys that are already working harder than you know. The good news is this. You do not have to give up green smoothies. You simply need to switch your greens. Romaine lettuce, arugula, and kale in smaller amounts all provide excellent nutrition with dramatically lower oxalate content. Limiting spinach to once or twice per week rather than daily can reduce your oxalate load by more than 60%. This is a change you can make tomorrow morning. And as serious as that was, the next food is even more unexpected because it carries one of the most trusted health reputations in the entire grocery store. The breakfast heart patients are told to eat, that is quietly harming kidneys. Oatmeal has been recommended for decades as a heart-healthy breakfast choice, and plain whole grain oatmeal absolutely has real benefits. But here is what most people do not realize. The oatmeal most adults actually eat in the morning, the flavored instant packets, the maple and brown sugar varieties, the apples and cinnamon versions, bears almost no resemblance to plain oatmeal from a kidney health perspective. Here is what is happening inside your body when you eat flavored instant oatmeal. First, the sodium content. A single serving of flavored instant oatmeal contains between 200 and 350 milligrams of sodium before you add milk or any toppings. When kidneys are healthy and fully functional, they can process and excrete sodium efficiently. But aging kidneys struggle with sodium load. Excess sodium forces the kidneys to work harder to maintain fluid balance, which raises blood pressure within the kidney's delicate filtration vessels. Over years, this elevated internal pressure creates microscopic damage to the glomeruli, the tiny blood vessel clusters that do the actual filtering. Glomeruli, once damaged, do not repair themselves. Second, the phosphorus additives. Flavored and instant oatmeal products frequently contain phosphate-based preservatives and flavor enhancers. Unlike the naturally occurring phosphorus found in whole foods, which the body regulates and absorbs selectively, phosphate additives are absorbed into the bloodstream at nearly 100%. For adults over 60 with reduced kidney function, excess phosphorus in the blood cannot be cleared efficiently. It begins to accumulate. Elevated blood phosphorus pulls calcium out of the bones and deposits it in soft tissues, including inside blood vessels and kidney tissue itself. Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, 8,000 adults aged 60 plus, 7-year follow-up. People who regularly consumed processed grain products with phosphate additives had a 42% higher rate of accelerated kidney function decline. Think of phosphate additives like slow-moving rust forming on the inside of fine plumbing. The pipes keep working, the water keeps flowing, but the internal walls are gradually narrowing, hardening, and losing flexibility, until one day the pressure builds past the point the system can handle. Research published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology tracked over 8,000 adults aged 60 and older for 7 years. People who regularly consumed processed and flavored grain products with phosphate additives had a 42% higher rate of accelerated kidney function decline compared to those who ate plain whole grain alternatives, 42%, from breakfast cereal. Think of phosphate additives like slow-moving rust forming on the inside of fine plumbing. The pipes keep working, the water keeps flowing, but the internal walls are gradually narrowing, hardening, and losing flexibility, until one day the pressure builds past the point the system can handle. I treated a 71-year-old man who had eaten flavored instant oatmeal every single morning for 11 years. His doctor had recommended oatmeal for his cholesterol. He never questioned the flavored versus plain distinction. By the time his blood work flagged an issue, his estimated kidney filtration rate had declined to a level requiring dietary intervention and close monitoring. He was 2 stages away from dialysis. He had never felt anything wrong until almost the end. The good news is this: plain whole-rolled oats prepared simply with water or a small amount of milk deliver all of the genuine heart benefits of oatmeal without the sodium surge or phosphate additives. Adding your own cinnamon and a small amount of fresh fruit gives you flavor and nutrition without the hidden chemical load. This swap takes 30 seconds. It could save your kidneys years of accumulated damage. Now, let us move to food number 3. This one surprises almost everyone, including many doctors, because it is something that health organizations have been actively promoting for over 2 decades. The fitness trend quietly overloading aging kidneys. Protein shakes were once associated almost exclusively with bodybuilders. Not anymore. Marketing has shifted dramatically. Today, high-protein breakfast shakes are heavily promoted to adults over 60 specifically as tools for preserving muscle mass and energy. The messaging is compelling. Protein is essential, muscle loss is real, and the shakes are convenient. But here is what most people do not realize. The kidneys are responsible for clearing the metabolic waste products that protein digestion produces. When protein is broken down in the body, it generates nitrogenous waste, primarily urea and creatinine. These waste products must be filtered out of the blood by the kidneys and excreted in the urine. In a young adult with full kidney capacity, this process handles high protein loads without stress. But in an adult over 60, whose kidneys are already functioning at reduced capacity, A sudden large protein load, especially in the concentrated, rapidly absorbed form that shakes deliver, creates a significant filtration demand spike. This is called hyperfiltration. Hyperfiltration means the kidney is being pushed to filter at beyond its comfortable sustainable capacity, like an engine running consistently above its design limit. Over time, hyperfiltration causes glomerular stress, microinflammation, and progressive loss of nephron function. The kidney compensates, then it overcompensates, and then it begins to fail faster than it otherwise would. American Journal of Kidney Diseases, 2,000 adults over 60, 5-year study. Those consuming more than 1.3 g protein per kilogram body weight per day showed statistically significant acceleration in kidney function decline, especially pronounced in those with undiagnosed mild CKD. Think of hyperfiltration like asking a worn water pump to suddenly operate at double pressure every single morning. The pump can do it for a while, but every session at that pressure is shortening its lifespan. The damage is cumulative and irreversible. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases followed 2,000 adults over 60 who significantly increased their daily protein intake, primarily through supplements and shakes, over a 5-year period. Participants consuming more than 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day showed a statistically significant acceleration in kidney function decline compared to those consuming moderate, food-based protein. The risk was especially pronounced in adults who already had mild to moderate chronic kidney disease, the 9 out of 10 who, as we discussed, had no idea they were already affected. Think of hyperfiltration like asking a worn water pump to suddenly operate at double pressure every single morning. The pump can do it for a while, but every session at that pressure is shortening its lifespan. The damage is cumulative and irreversible. I once treated a 67-year-old retired athlete who had started drinking 2 high-protein shakes every morning after reading about sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. He was trying to stay strong. He was doing exactly what he thought was right. Within 18 months, his kidney function had declined by a measurable and clinically significant margin. He had no symptoms. He only found out because of routine blood work. When I explained the mechanism to him, he was stunned. He said, "I was trying to get healthier." Here is the important distinction. Whole food protein sources, eggs, Greek yogurt in moderate portions, legumes, are digested and absorbed more slowly, delivering protein to the kidneys at a pace their filtration capacity can handle. If you are over 60 and using protein shakes, please discuss your specific kidney function with your doctor before continuing. A simple blood test, a creatinine and GFR panel, can tell you exactly how much reserve your kidneys have. That one conversation could change everything. And here is what most people do not realize. The next food on this list is something millions of adults over 60 take every single morning specifically to protect their health. And for some of them, it is doing the opposite. The daily health ritual quietly accumulating toxicity. Supplements have become a multi-billion-dollar morning ritual for adults over 60. Multivitamins, calcium supplements, vitamin D in high doses, magnesium, zinc, the cabinet fills up, and the motivation is entirely understandable. People want to protect their bones, their immune system, their cognition. They are trying to do everything right. But here is what is happening inside the body when fat-soluble vitamins and certain minerals are taken in supplement form at doses higher than the kidneys can safely clear. Fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K, unlike water-soluble vitamins, are not simply excreted when taken in excess. They accumulate in fatty tissue and in the bloodstream. When blood levels rise too high, the kidneys must work to manage the excess. Vitamin D in particular, when taken in supplement doses above what the body actually needs, triggers increased calcium absorption from the gut. That elevated calcium then enters the bloodstream. And excess blood calcium, called hypercalcemia, must be processed and cleared by the kidneys. In adults over 60 with already reduced filtration capacity, sustained hypercalcemia from oversupplementation causes calcium deposits in the kidney tissue itself. It narrows tubules. It progressively reduces filtration. It is a slow accumulation of damage that looks on the outside like nothing at all. JAMA Internal Medicine, 20,000 plus adults age 60 plus, those taking more than 1,000 millinolars supplemental calcium per day had a 35% higher rate of kidney stone formation and measurably faster kidney function decline versus those who met calcium needs primarily through diet. Think of excess supplemental calcium in the kidney like slowly pouring cement into fine mesh. The mesh keeps filtering, but the gaps fill progressively, and eventually the mesh is no longer fine enough to do its job. Research published in JAMA Internal Medicine analyzed over 20,000 adults aged 60 and older who regularly took high-dose calcium and vitamin D supplements. Adults taking more than 1,000 milligrams of supplemental calcium per day had a 35% higher rate of kidney stone formation and measurably faster kidney function decline compared to adults who met their calcium needs primarily through diet. 35% from a supplement that is specifically marketed as protecting bones. Think of excess supplemental calcium in the kidney like slowly pouring cement into fine mesh. The mesh keeps filtering, but the gaps fill progressively, and eventually the mesh is no longer fine enough to do its job. I treated a 73-year-old woman who took a 1,500 milligram calcium supplement every morning along with 5,000 international units of vitamin D. She had been doing this for 6 years on the advice of a well-meaning relative. Her kidney function when I first evaluated her was already significantly below normal for her age. She had never had a blood test checking her calcium levels or vitamin D levels. She did not know those tests existed. She thought supplements were always safe because they were not medications. The good news is this: you do not need to stop all supplements. You need the right information. Ask your doctor for a simple blood panel that checks your vitamin D level, your calcium level, and your kidney function. These tests are inexpensive and routinely covered by insurance. Once you know your actual levels, you can supplement precisely only what you are deficient in, only at the dose required. Supplementing blindly with high doses is not health protection. It is a gamble with organs that cannot tell you when they are losing. Now we come to the top of the list, the number one breakfast food causing documented, measurable kidney damage in adults over 60. And as I promised you at the beginning, this food is specifically marketed as a kidney-friendly, heart-healthy protein source. It has been recommended by healthcare professionals for decades, and for millions of older adults, it is the very first thing they reach for every single morning. The preserved protein quietly poisoning your kidneys with phosphates and sodium, deli turkey, deli ham, sliced chicken breast, eaten on toast in a wrap alongside eggs. It feels like a responsible choice. High protein, low fat, quick and easy. Many older adults choose it specifically because it feels lighter and healthier than bacon or sausage. But the mechanism of harm here is perhaps the most serious on this entire list. Here is what is happening inside your body. Processed deli meats undergo extensive preservation processes that require extremely high levels of sodium and phosphate additives. A single 2-ounce serving of deli turkey, which is a small serving, contains between 500 and 750 milligrams of sodium. That is between 25 and 37% of the total daily sodium limit recommended for adults over 60 with any reduction in kidney function. Most people eat more than 2 ounces. But the phosphate problem is even more significant. Processed meats contain phosphate-based preservatives, compounds like sodium phosphate and potassium phosphate, that are chemically added during processing. And here is the critical distinction. The phosphorus naturally present in whole foods like eggs or fish is absorbed at a rate of 40 to 60%. The body regulates it, but the inorganic phosphate additives in processed meats are absorbed at a rate of 90 to 100%. Every single milligram goes directly into the bloodstream. For kidneys already struggling to clear phosphorus efficiently, this creates a compounding crisis with every meal. Over time, chronically elevated blood phosphorus triggers what is known as secondary hyperparathyroidism. The parathyroid glands, small glands in the neck, detect the excess phosphorus and respond by releasing hormones that pull calcium from bones to counterbalance the blood chemistry. This leads simultaneously to bone density loss and to calcification of soft tissue, including within the kidneys. The kidneys become progressively harder, stiffer, and less able to filter. Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, 12,000 plus adults aged 65 plus, 9-year follow-up. Adults consuming processed meat 5+ times per week showed a 51% higher rate of kidney function decline versus those eating it once per week or less. Think of inorganic phosphate flooding the kidneys like pouring sand into the gears of a finely tuned clock. The clock keeps ticking, the hands keep moving, but each grain of sand is wearing down the mechanisms, and the clock is not running slow enough for you to notice, until suddenly it stops. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology followed over 12,000 adults aged 65 and older for 9 years. Adults who consumed processed meat 5 or more times per week, which includes any deli meat at breakfast, showed a 51% higher rate of kidney function decline compared to those who consumed it once per week or less. 51%. That is the single largest risk increase associated with any food category in this study. Think of inorganic phosphate flooding the kidneys like pouring sand into the gears of a finely tuned clock. The clock keeps ticking, the hands keep moving, but each grain of sand is wearing down the mechanisms, and the clock is not running slow enough for you to notice, until suddenly it stops. I once treated a 69-year-old woman who had eaten deli turkey on whole wheat toast every morning for over a decade. She was proud of her diet. She avoided red meat. She limited sweets. She exercised 3 times per week. She came to me because of persistent fatigue that her regular doctor had not been able to explain. Her GFR, glomerular filtration rate, which is the standard measure of how well the kidneys filter, was at 42. Normal for her age should have been above 60. She was already in stage 3 chronic kidney disease. She had no idea. Her diet had felt virtuous every single morning. How many days this week did you eat deli meat for breakfast? Be honest with yourself. Write the number in the comments, because the research tells us that number is directly tied to the level of strain your kidneys are under right now. How many days this week did you eat deli meat for breakfast? Be honest with yourself. Write the number in the comments, because the research tells us that number is directly tied to the level of strain your kidneys are under right now. The good news is this: whole, unprocessed protein sources deliver the protein your body genuinely needs without the phosphate additive crisis. 2 eggs at breakfast provide excellent protein, natural phosphorus at a regulated absorption rate, and a sodium load that is a fraction of what deli meats deliver. Canned wild salmon or sardines, rinsed before eating, are also outstanding options. These are not sacrifices. These are upgrades, and you can make the first one tomorrow morning. Now, before we close, there are 5 rules I need you to hear. Because without these, everything else I have told you today will not fully protect you. Rule 1. Stay properly hydrated throughout the day, but especially in the morning. Your kidneys depend on adequate fluid to flush filtered waste through the urinary system. When you wake up, your blood is more concentrated than at any other point in the day. Drinking 1 to 2 glasses of water before your morning coffee gives the kidneys the fluid volume they need to begin clearing overnight metabolic waste effectively. Dehydration, even mild chronic dehydration, accelerates kidney damage faster than almost any dietary factor. This step alone, done consistently, is protective. Rule 2. Limit your total sodium intake to 1,500 milligrams per day if you are over 60. This is lower than the general adult recommendation of 2,300 milligrams, and it is lower for a reason. Aging kidneys process sodium more slowly. The excess stays in the bloodstream longer, raising internal kidney filtration pressure with every meal. Reading sodium content on food labels and choosing whole, unprocessed foods rather than packaged options is the single most effective daily action you can take for kidney longevity. Rule 3. Get your kidney function tested. A basic metabolic panel, which includes creatinine, BUN, blood urea nitrogen, and an estimated GFR, is a routine, inexpensive blood test. If you have not had this test in the past year, ask your doctor for it at your next appointment. You cannot protect an organ you cannot see without knowing its actual status. Most kidney disease is discovered late because patients never asked for this test. You are not most patients. Ask for the test. Rule 4. Never take more than the recommended daily allowance of any supplement without first confirming a deficiency through blood work. More is not always better. For fat-soluble vitamins and minerals like calcium and phosphorus, more can be genuinely dangerous for kidneys already operating below full capacity. Confirm your levels. Supplement precisely. This is not complicated. It is essential. Rule 5. Replace processed proteins with whole protein sources at every meal, but especially at breakfast. The difference between a whole protein and a processed protein is not a matter of preference or taste. It is a matter of chemistry. Whole proteins bring naturally regulated phosphorus, moderate sodium, and nutritional cofactors that support kidney function. Processed proteins bring inorganic phosphate loads and sodium levels that compound daily into measurable damage. Make this one replacement tomorrow morning. Your kidneys will respond. These are not optional adjustments. Every one of these mistakes quietly cancels the protection you are working toward. Let us quickly summarize the 5 breakfast foods that are silently damaging kidneys in adults over 60. 5. Spinach smoothies. 4. Flavored instant oatmeal. 3. High-protein shakes. 2. High-dose supplements without testing. 1. Processed deli meats. Each one alone is dangerous. Together, they create a perfect storm. Each one alone is dangerous. Together, they create a perfect storm. The truth is painful but empowering. Most cases of kidney disease in adults over 60 are not fate. They are not purely genetic. They are not inevitable. They are the accumulated result of small, daily decisions made with insufficient information. You do not need expensive treatments. You do not need an extreme lifestyle overhaul. You need awareness and consistency. The changes I have described tonight are simple. They are affordable, and they are available to you starting tomorrow morning. If you are over 60, tonight is the night to write these 5 foods down, not next week, tonight. Your kidneys have been working for you in complete silence every single day of your life. Since the morning you were born, they have been filtering your blood every 24 hours, processing 180 liters of fluid through microscopic structures finer than anything human engineering has ever produced. They have never once asked you for anything in return. They cannot speak when they are struggling. They cannot send you pain to warn you when the damage is building. They simply keep working quietly and faithfully for as long as they can. What you do at breakfast tomorrow morning is a message to those organs. It tells them whether you are aware of what they need, whether you are paying attention, whether you are going to give back some of the protection they have been giving you silently every hour of your life. I do not want you to sit across from me in 5 years and ask why nobody warned you sooner. I am warning you now. Please take this seriously. Before you leave, I ask you to do 4 important things. First, subscribe to this channel. Every week I share evidence-based, life-saving health information explained clearly and honestly for adults over 60. This channel exists for you. Second, like this video. It tells the algorithm that this information is important. It helps this message reach older adults who may not know their kidneys are already under strain. Third, leave a comment right now. Write, "I am protecting my kidneys starting tomorrow." Your commitment in this comment section may inspire someone else watching tonight to make the same decision. That one comment could save a life. And finally, share this video with someone you love, a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a close friend. You may never know whose life you protect by passing this along. But the science tells us you will be protecting someone.